Hey guys, today on People Now, Miley Cyrus clears the air about pregnancy rumors.
Jackass star Steve-O's shocking revelation about past drug use, snorting cocaine tainted with HIV-positive blood.
And I knew immediately when the dance, I was like, that's not how you do it. Like,
Haley Joel Osment shares one of his most awkward moments and the one thing the former child star kept from the set of Forrest Gump.
Plus, country star Dylan Scott is here with brand new music.
It's live today on People Now. Let's go.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to People Now. Great to see you. We are celebrating the birthday of one of the most iconic stars in Hollywood today because America's favorite Golden Girl, Betty White. Guys, she is 97 years old. Let's hear it for Betty. Here we go.
I love her. So to celebrate Betty's big day, we want to know which one of her hilarious shows makes you laugh the hardest. Is it The Golden Girls? Is it The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mama's Family, or Hot in Cleveland?
Wow.
It's kind of hard to choose. We know. This is going to be a good poll.
Yeah.
But vote for your favorite in our People poll or just tweet us your answer with the hashtag People Now. We will also take Betty White gifts, anything you want to send.
Anything Betty White, and just running down that list, it's like, my goodness, she's been a part of so many legendary shows, such a career.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to just reflect back on
and
her.
She's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, she's still so hilarious.
Yeah, she really is. All right, so we're going to talk a lot about her a little later. We'll check in on those results as well. For now, though, here's what you need to know and what's trending today. Former Jackass star Steve-O is opening up about a low point in his life, remembering an incident when he snorted cocaine mixed with the blood of an HIV-positive drug user. This is a wild story, guys. In a new interview with reporter Graham Bensinger, the 44-year-old says that he once went to visit his HIV-positive drug dealer, finding him passed out when he got there. So when Steve-O spotted some cocaine residue on the table, he decided to snort it. Here was his quote. He said, "As I had sat down looking at it, there was, of course, blood had been squirted," as he said. "You could see the tiny blood splatter on the residue." It was an alarming sight, but it didn't deter him. He continued to say, "This is how desperate and pathetic my addiction was, that I sat there knowingly scraping up this tainted blood cocaine. I sat there, I snorted it, which is so bleeped up. I snorted the blood of an intravenous drug user." Wow, that is a shocking story. And thankfully, Steve-O says that he did not contract HIV from that incident. He noted that the virus doesn't have a long life in dried blood, thankfully. Well, now Steve-O says that he's been sober since 2008. Now, in March of 2018, 2 months after getting engaged, Steve-O celebrated 10 years of being clean with a touching Twitter post, in part thanking his former Jackass co-star Johnny Knoxville, who, quote, "locked me up in a psychiatric ward on March 9th, 2008, where this journey began." We're glad to see that things are going well for him. Southern Charm star Kathryn Dennis is firing back at her ex Thomas Ravenel. According to documents obtained by The Blast regarding the former couple's custody battle, Kathryn is requesting that Thomas, quote, "identify every prescription drug and/or illegal drug that he has used during the past 6 years. For each prescription drug, please identify the doctor who prescribed the drug, where you purchased your prescription drugs." That's the quote from the request. The new development is in response to Thomas's own claim in court docs that Kathryn, quote, "buys, sells, and trades prescription medications to and from friends, cast members, and show producers to support her prescription drug habits." A pretty aggressive claim there. And Kathryn and Thomas share 2 young children, and their battle, it has been going on for quite a while. Look, in the docs that she's questions there, whether Thomas has been evaluated for bipolar, there's a lot that's kind of exposed in all of this as it's unfolding.
Well, this relationship is very tumultuous. We've seen on Southern Charm, and now we see kind of it playing out in real life as well, that this is real. Like, they really do butt heads, and it's all involved. I mean, she lost custody of their kids. She entered rehab in 2016.
Yeah.
It seemed like at points that maybe they could reconcile and have this 50-50 split.
Well, a lot of different things happened. She failed a drug test after she tested positive for marijuana. Thomas was awarded full custody after that whole thing happened. So she ended up going back earning 50-50 custody eventually. And then in October, she filed docs seeking primary custody. So that was kind of the next step in it. Thomas counterclaimed, and it's been this kind of back and forth ever since.
Well, I think the sad thing, too, is that they have the kids. So obviously we'd love to see it work out in some way for them,
Right.
that they could co-parent. I mean, but we mentioned that she failed a drug test. Thomas has also had his problem with drugs. He entered a 30-day rehab, and he served 10 months in prison after he was indicted by a federal grand jury in June of 2007 on a charge of conspiracy to possess to intent to distribute less than 500 grams of cocaine.
Yeah, so there was a lot of details in there in this whole back and forth. I think it's sad when kids are involved in this way, especially when it's happening in the public eye. It makes it harder for them to escape it even at school or wherever they are. You know, as they get older and different things, it doesn't go away. But we hope that they're able, of course, to work the whole thing out for the kids' sake. So our best to them. All right, guys, family and fans of Aaliyah are remembering the singer on what would have been her 40th birthday. It would have been yesterday. Tributes flooded in on Twitter. Aaliyah's official Twitter account even tweeted out a photo of the late singer with the message, "Happy birthday, sweet angel," in honor of the special day. Aaliyah's brother, Rashad, released a poem dedicated to his late sister. It reads in part, quote, "Hollow voices ripple upstream, yearning to rejoin the sea cry. Universe, sacred womb, a truth revealed, is a song set free, gentle whisper of wind, sow these seeds for me." That's part of that poetic post that he put up. Aaliyah died at the age of 22 when her small plane, which was bound for Miami, it crashed into a swamp shortly after takeoff in the Bahamas. Aaliyah had gone to the destination to shoot her music video for Rock the Boat. Now, Aaliyah's name, as we know if you've been paying attention, recently made headlines again following the release of the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly, which shed light on R. Kelly's alleged relationship with Aaliyah after working on her first album. Now, in 1994, it was widely reported that R. Kelly and Aaliyah had secretly gotten married, even though she would have been 15 at the time. Now, R. Kelly and Aaliyah never addressed the reports about the nature of their relationship, but in that documentary, his former personal assistant claims he was present at the wedding and admits to obtaining false documents for underage Aaliyah. Reps for R. Kelly responded no comment to People's request for a response to all those allegations that were made in Surviving R. Kelly that's gotten so much attention, and of course in interviews conducted by People as well. It's hard to believe that she would have been 40 today, or yesterday, this week. That plane crash almost 18 years ago.
I mean, she was so talented at such a young age. Everyone kind of wonders where she would be now, what her life would look like. It's also really hard to see these headlines about R. Kelly without her here to defend herself or tell her side of the story, because there's a lot that's come up about that, and there's a lot of questions that are still yet to be answered, but mostly that involve her.
Well, yeah, and you look at it, and all of it's being sort of drugged back up in light of the full story of Surviving R. Kelly and all these other accusations. Her mom obviously has spoken out and made some really strong statements as well, trying to sort of defend her or frame it in a different kind of way. So, yeah, anyway, fans are rallying around her to celebrate her birthday in spite of all that. You have more for us in Star Treks.
I do. So we are kicking off Star Treks today with another big reveal on the show everyone is talking about, The Masked Singer. So consider this your official spoiler alert. If you haven't watched the episode yet, take a look.
Take it up! It's Terry Bradshaw!
There he is. On Wednesday night, the disguised performer known to the world as The Deer was unveiled to be former NFL quarterback and Fox Sports analyst Terry Bradshaw.
It's a scary deer.
It's a very scary deer. It's like in my nightmares. The internet seemed fairly unsurprised by the unmasking, though, as viewers guessed early on that Bradshaw might be the voice behind the horned mammal. As for Terry, he was actually relieved to be sent home from the show. During his moment of truth, he said, "This is so stressful. I gotta thank you all for voting me off." But he's no stranger to singing. The two-time Super Bowl winner has released 5 albums since 1976. I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. 9 contestants' identities are still in question on The Masked Singer, and they could be anyone. As a matter of fact, we had NSYNC legend Joey Fatone right here on the couch Wednesday. A lot of people think Joey may be the rabbit on the show. I mean, the clues are kind of pointing right to him, but he is adamant it is not him. He gave us his take on the clues we know so far.
Yeah, I think they're misleading people. What they're doing is they're throwing people off.
But do you think that maybe it's an NSYNC bandmate? Would you know?
You know what it possibly could be, but the thing is what are going to be the clues this week? Who's going to know? You know what I'm saying? I want to know what the next clues are. How are they going to? If they gave it that easy for somebody, why would And I'm saying no. Why would they do that?
But that's okay. I see what you're saying. Do you know who it is?
I do not.
What if it's actually him, Jeremy? What do you think?
He was so adamant that now I think it is him again.
You think so? He would just lie to us straight out?
Yeah.
I mean, so last year there was that rumor that NSYNC was going to reunite at the Super Bowl halftime show, and he said they weren't going to. We didn't believe him, and they didn't.
That was true.
So I think he might be telling the truth.
I don't know.
But maybe it's another NSYNC bandmate. I don't know.
Either way, this show is a genius show idea
really
because it's got us all talking
Even
and
if you're
wondering.
not watching the show, you still want to know who is going to be unveiled. I don't know. I think it's pretty brilliant. All right, The Masked Singer airs Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Fox. All right, when Ellen is away, this mom and daughter duo will play. Kate Hudson and her mom, Goldie Hawn, are hosting Ellen on Thursday. This duo is bringing the fun. They kick things off by leading a dance party in the crowd. Ellen would definitely be proud. And after things settled down a bit, Kate joked how the recent birth of her first daughter, Ronnie Rose, was a joint effort. Watch.
As you might know, I just had, we had my daughter.
Well, you know,
which is kind of how it goes down in the birthing room anyway.
Now, Kate later explained that when it was go time in the delivery room, her 73-year-old mom was at the center of it all, and the happy grandma was willing to reenact the scene for us. Take a look.
Mom, once again, man, she was right in there. It was like, I remember the doctor goes, Goldie, you get a little closer, you might fall in.
He was sort of like this, leaning down, doing the thing on the baby. And I'm trying to get in on him to try to look over his shoulder. And now I see the head and I'm going, oh, there's the head. And then it went back. And he said, Goldie, if you get any closer, you're gonna fall in.
I don't think I could have someone that close up in my business, especially not my mom when I'm giving birth.
It's a wild world in there.
I know, they're very close. It's a close family.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering why Ellen was playing hooky, Kate joked that Ellen was at her house babysitting, but whose baby was in Ellen's lap, no one seems to know. All Kate said was it wasn't her baby. So,
who knows?
There you go. All right, now watch this.
I specialize in those individuals who believe they are superheroes.
Good for you.
Looks so good.
Creepy.
That's a look at M. Night Shyamalan's new comic book thriller Glass that hits theaters on Friday. So the movie is the third in a trilogy, which M. Night says he's been planning since the start, but it took a while to get there. Unbreakable was released back in 2000, and then Split came out 16 years later. Wow. And it was a journey for the actors as well. James McAvoy, who plays the main character in Split, says he was a little slow catching on to the idea of a third film.
There was a tiny clue in the stage directions at the end of the Split script, which passed me by completely. And then I'm on set for the first couple of weeks working away on Split, and he keeps kind of mentioning Unbreakable and stuff, and I'm like, Jesus, he talks about Unbreakable a lot. And I'm wondering why. And then one day he alluded to the fact that, you know, we might come back and we might be here with David Dunn and Elijah and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's what that little thing was. I was like, right, okay. And I fessed up and I was like, dude, I missed that completely. Like, you got to up that.
So James's character has multiple personalities. Of course, we had to find out which is his favorite to play.
Miss Patricia, because she's real kinky and devout and pious, but kind of longing to be touched at the same time, which is sort of achingly sad and dead fun to play.
My name is Patricia.
And then Hedwig as well, because he just doesn't really recognise barriers or boundaries and allows him to be pretty inappropriate with anybody and everybody.
Man, that little clip is so creepy.
He got really ripped for this role.
Yeah, he did. And our girl Sarah Paulson is in this as well. She's one of the newcomers to the series. She opened up to people about how excited she was to be joining the fam.
Nothing could be more thrilling. And I'm a huge fan of Knight's and have always been so desperate to be in one of his movies. So I can't believe I actually am. And in this one, which ties these other two movies that I think are so special together. So it was a pretty exciting day. I called a lot of people when I got that phone call saying I had the job.
Now, Paulson has had a whirlwind year from Ocean's 8 to Netflix's wildly popular Bird Box. She's been killing the game, and she gave us the inside scoop on what she does to relax in between it all.
There was a lot of output this last year in terms of what was coming from me, and I wanted a little bit of intake. And so I came to New York and I saw, 10 plays in 9 days and got refueled from an artistic standpoint, saw some friends and saw some great movies, and because 'tis the season for all that, and it was really helpful.
Man, anything Sarah Paulson is in, I will watch. She's really good at the creepy thriller, suspense kind of stuff.
I think it is the season to watch good movies all the time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Those are your Star Treks for today.
All right, guys, stay with us. Is Miley Cyrus pregnant? We have the latest. We're clear in the air. Plus, we're live with country star Dylan Scott talking about his latest single, fatherhood, and lots more. He's up to so much with some new music as well. That is all up ahead.
All right, today is Hollywood queen Betty White's 97th birthday. We've been asking you guys which one of her shows makes you laugh the hardest. Let's check in on our People poll results so far. What do you think it's going to be?
Oh, Golden Girls.
Wow,
That's
Golden
the
Girls.
one. I mean, that's the one she really became known for.
Yeah,
right?
people aren't really digging Mama's Family. Maybe we got to do a rewatch.
Yeah. Hot in Cleveland, though. I want to say Hot in Cleveland needs a revisit by a lot of people. Anyway, some people remember from Mary Tyler Moore, but the Golden Girls really put her on the map in a new way. She did a prank show I can't remember the name of it. A couple years ago, it was right after we had our first baby and when we were up all night, we would just binge it. It was so funny.
But she's just hilarious.
It was older,
it was
senior.
She's 97 today.
Yeah,
Good for her. We also mentioned you guys can tweet us your comments, your gifts, your birthday wishes for Betty White, however you want to honor her today. So we're going to read some of those comments you guys sent in.
One Twitter user says this: Golden Girls, miss it even now. Bless you, Betty White. Well, you know what? You can probably go stream it.
Yeah.
So,
Another user writing, happy birthday, Betty White, with a lot of exclamation points. Thank you for spreading your gifts of laughter because watching you on the Golden Girls and making me laugh helped me get through a rough time. I just love you.
See, she brings joy to people, and even if it's just even in the most mundane interview, she brings so much of a smile to your face. Like she has the ability to do.
I'm smiling now just looking at these videos.
Just seeing her. Look at that.
Just look at her.
How's that not make you smile? Keep voting. Keep sending in the comments and your love for Betty White. But now we move on to this.
All right. Fitness guru Jillian Michaels is not letting a public debate on the keto diet go.
Oh, this is quite the thing. She addressed Al Roker and Andy Cohen on Twitter Friday after they both called her out for being critical of the keto diet. Here was her quote. She said, "How about a civil, intelligent debate on the 6 Keys book and keto instead of personal attacks and name calling? I'm also a motivator, and I know you guys can do this. By the way, genius for getting your book in there."
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people get really riled up about diets and fitness and everything. She's been very vocal against keto for a while for its low-carb, high-fat guidelines. I mean, there's a lot more than that to it, but she told Women's Health magazine, quote, "I don't understand. Like, why would anybody think this is a good idea?"
Yeah, we actually even chatted with her in December. She explained why a balanced diet is key to your overall health. Watch this.
If we're not overeating or undereating, and you have a relatively balanced ratio of protein, fat, and carbs, which is essential. Essential. Your cells are made up of protein, fat, carbs, and nucleic acid. You don't eat one of those macronutrients, you are starving the body, and you're creating vitamin mineral deficiencies. Okay, so a balanced diet of all 3 things.
All right, so there you go. Basically, the view is low-carb, high-fat thing. It kind of messes with the cells of your body. You need to have it balanced because the food that you eat impacts everything that maybe you don't even realize. The kidneys, the heart, the brain, skin. She even said like the nails and the hair.
Well, she's talking about your macros. I think it's always confusing to people because we were told kind of growing up, or at least when I was younger, like carbs are bad. So that kind of goes in line with what the keto diet is, keeping the carbs like to a minimal. So it's very interesting, and I understand why people are getting riled up because it's kind of your life, the way that you eat and what you put in your body. And she obviously has done a lot of research for her book. So she believes a certain way. They believe that the keto diet is great. So now they're kind of butting heads.
Butting heads on it. Here's one of her quotes from the article on People. She said, on top of all that, when you're not eating all the macronutrients that you're literally starving your body, you're starving your cells. She says those macros have very specific jobs for your biochemistry, for your body to do what it needs for you to continue living in the healthiest way possible. Here was her quote at the end of it. So if you want to look your best, feel your best, and live your longest, that's not the diet for you.
But the thing is I understand why people are upset because the keto diet is very popular and it works for a lot of people.
For many different things,
So let's look at what Al and Andy said in response to Jillian when she first made those statements about it. Andy made Jillian the jackhole of the day in an episode of Watch What Happens Live, which if I was her, I'd be a little pissed.
Yeah, of course.
No one wants to be called the jackhole of the day.
No, they do not. Al Roker tweeted this. This from a woman who promoted on-camera bullying, deprivation, manipulation, and more weekly in the name of weight loss. Now those sound like bad ideas.
Wow.
Referencing her time on Biggest Loser.
Yeah, so Al has been struggling with his weight loss, and he's been very open about it, but keto has been working for him, so obviously he's getting a little riled up about her statements.
Al has been very outspoken on Twitter a lot lately for many things, but I also like, if you follow him, he posts when he's working out, when he's running, when he's doing the Peloton, and I mean, he's very active and does a lot to focus on his diet.
No, you're right. He's been responding to a lot of negative tweets, like bringing them up and like quoting them and everything.
Yeah, I don't know that Al Roker a few years ago would have been this vocal against her, but Jillian also posted a video on Twitter. She called Al's personal attacks bizarre and urged him to read her book about, again, gets the book plug in, which is genius, to read the book about the impacts of the diet and how healthy eating isn't just about weight loss.
So there's no word yet if a date is set for the debate between the two. Definitely good PR for her book. I would actually like to see this happen because I think I have a lot of questions about it because I've always been told like carbs are bad, but she's saying you definitely need to have as many carbs as proteins and everything.
My wife's a dietitian. People always ask her about this and other diets. The most general statement that she always gives is the balance in your diet is really key. So if there's anything that takes something out, it's eventually not going to be sustainable. That's kind of a general way of looking.
But you could also just do the keto diet for a while. You get to eat a lot of the things you want to eat. Al also did tweet though, and he said different diets work for different people. So that's also completely valid.
People find their way to maintain and all that kind of thing. Anyway, for now, we're just going to keep an eye on the latest Celebrity Feud here to see what happens.
We're enjoying it. All right, moving on to this. A 5-hour, 42-song tribute to the late Chris Cornell took place on Wednesday night in Los Angeles.
All right, the singer died in May of 2017. The event was organized by Chris's wife, Vicky. She says she wanted to throw the event to showcase Chris's impact on the music industry and continue in his legacy. She said this, quote, "We all know how music can change us, but Chris did something more extraordinary. He changed music and paved the way for so many."
Yeah, now Chris died at 57. His death was ruled a suicide. This really came as a surprise at the time. Not a lot of people were expecting this or seeing it coming.
Yeah, the tribute featured acts like Metallica, the Foo Fighters, and Cornell's bands Audioslave and Temple of the Dog. They performed with guest singers like Miley Cyrus. She actually joined Temple to perform a classic, Say Hello to Heaven. So a lot of people came together for this.
I love that she showed up for this. I think that was really special. I mean, she took the stage for that heartfelt performance after denying she was pregnant with new husband Liam Hemsworth's baby. So this was something that also came about. There was a report that surfaced on Wednesday suggesting that the 26-year-old newlywed was expecting.
Now, this would have been quite the bombshell, right?
Oh,
if it's like they're announcing they married, all that, and if she's pregnant. But she denied it on Twitter. She said, quote, "I'm not egg-specting, but it's egg-cellent to hear everyone is so happy for us. We're happy for us, too. Excited for this next chapter in our lives. Now can everyone leave me alone and go back to staring at an egg?"
You know what? For someone, me, who does not like puns, I will appreciate this, Smiley. Because she is referring to that egg photo. Remember the egg photo that beat out Kylie Jenner's picture of Stormi as the most liked pic on Instagram? This is the one. Both of us liked it.
So many things woven into this one story, right? Like the trends of the week here. Miley and Liam said "I do" during this intimate home ceremony. That was on December 23rd. A source close to People said that while the couple would love to be parents one day, they aren't in a rush to start a family, kind of doing their thing, pacing it out, and I say good for them. Enjoy the newlywed life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I like that Miley doesn't get super upset about these reports, because I can see when there's a false report, you can get very upset about it. She's like, you know what, I'm gonna make some puns, I'm gonna joke about it.
And that girl's been through some scandal. At this point, she can laugh at it.
Oh, yeah, all right. Moving on to this, a friend of Heather Locklear tells People that Heather is ready to turn over a new leaf in the new year. Now, she left her treatment facility at the end of December to celebrate the holidays with her loved ones. And although she planned on returning to rehab, she is now, according to a source, doing outpatient rehab at home.
So Heather's parents are living with her for the time being. Locklear's friend tells People, quote, "She's doing great. She has her parents staying with her, which has been great for everyone truly close to her. The fact that her parents are now staying with her is a good development, and it's comforting." Obviously, they want there to be a good support system.
Yeah, I mean, Heather has struggled with substance abuse and depression over the years. I mean, we've been tracking this for the last couple of years. At this point in her life, she definitely needs some normalcy, because it's really hard, especially being in like the Hollywood limelight and kind of people knowing that these things about you.
Yeah, there's a source that told us some about Locklear, said that she's under a doctor's care. It is not around anybody who's not a good influence, which is good and comforting news to the family and friends. She recently broke up with the on-again, off-again boyfriend, Chris. So that's kind of helping her, according to them, focus on her sobriety.
Because he hasn't necessarily been good for her. I mean, he came back into her life about 2 years ago when he visited her in rehab. Now, a friend of hers reveals that Chris didn't help her sustain her goals. It was not a very positive influence on her. And yeah, she had these, goals set for sobriety, and he wasn't really aiding her in that.
Here's some of the breakdown. 2018, obviously this very tumultuous year for Heather and Chris. Both of them were arrested. There had numerous fights, hospitalization, a possible overdose by Locklear. The stint in rehab had ended in October, and her being placed on a psychiatric hold in November. So family and friends, they're rooting for her to overcome the struggles. We at People, obviously, we wish her all the best. We'll be tracking along with that. More on people.com.
All right, now moving on to this. Take a look.
Guess what I got you? That's actually for both of us. Women's Moon Cycle Tea. It's a fertility tea.
Oh.
To get you ready for that baby number 2.
I'm supposed to drink this tea, lie on my back, bring my knees to my chest, hold them.
Like this.
Relax in this position, breathing long and deep for 1 to 3 minutes.
Do you want me to make you some?
So that's Total Bella star Brie Bella, her husband Bryan Danielson. This season on the show, they're talking baby number 2, everybody. It's a big life change if it should happen.
You know, Jeremy. Now, Brie says Bryan is a bit more eager to add to the family than she is. He's even buying her fertility tea to help her get pregnant. I don't know if this is a thing. Does that actually
Whatever
work?
You need. When Brie and her sister Nikki stopped by, they spilled the tea on what Brie really thought of the tea.
What was that?
You're supposed to get in a position after you drink it or something. Is this crazy? Is that real?
No, I didn't do it.
Yeah, but
he did it.
He's like, if someone's going to do this.
I think it's because he doesn't have to get pregnant. So he think about the journey. This is what I told him. I'm like, for sure in 2019. we're definitely gonna do it. I just told him right now in the beginning, I'm like, let me just figure out the year. I'm so busy, and he is too. I'm just like, we do have to plan. But we both said we'd really like to get pregnant in 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
So this year.
But it just started. There's still 11 more months.
Oh, that's pretty soon. It's this year.
You gotta start working
But
quick.
aside from planning her pregnancy, Brie's been planning blind dates for her newly single sister.
We all remember when Nikki ended her engagement to John Cena. That was back in April. Brie's been determined to help her sister explore the dating world. First up, we saw the footage on the teaser, former Bachelorette star Peter Krause.
Now, we're obsessed with anything Bachelor around here and kind of obsessed with Peter Krause, so we got the scoop.
Hey, what happened with Peter?
It's, so we've been on one date, and I mean, it was awesome. Like, he's obviously extremely good looking. Like, you look at him and he's great, but he has a great personality. He's very attentive to detail that I liked. Like, he brought me black licorice, and I was like, how did he know I liked black licorice? And that was like, cool.
So is it, I know there was a kiss, right? Was there anything more than that? It's like a fantasy suite situation?
Thank God, no. No rose.
Oh,
No sweet.
not too bad.
It actually, our date, I mean, I was with him 5 hours. It was a 5-hour first date. This was my first date. And we have it in 2 episodes, so I don't want to give away too much because I was embarrassed watching it. Because seeing myself on it,
Did you?
she loved it.
Wait, what'd you love the most?
Well, okay, so
My purple teeth and lips.
I mean, she got super buzzed, which was so funny.
I was like slurring my words. Don't ever do that on a first date.
Yeah.
Count your wine.
It was the stuff he planned that was super romantic, but I was like, because I like the Bachelor and Bachelorette. I'm like, whoa, that's so Bachelor and Bachelorette. I'm like, that's how he thinks now.
See, I don't
But it was
watch.
awesome. And it was fun to see my sister so uncomfortable and just
Thanks. I was so uncomfortable.
Well, I feel like you're not usually uncomfortable. So this was a situation that you were feeling a little uneasy?
You see her
But you
very
have to
nervous.
think, not only was this a first date for me in over 6 years, but it's in front of camera crews too. So it's like all of a sudden I giggle at something and I like hear Oz or whatever and I'd be like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm being watched, I forgot.
Yeah.
And then it was just, then I get uncomfortable or I wouldn't, then I'd sometimes be me and have no filter and then in my head I'm like, did I just say that? Nicole, that's so inappropriate.
You did do a couple things that I was like, that can't ever happen again.
There you go.
Look, dating after 6 years in a relationship cannot be easy.
No, you can kind of lose the edge.
It's
and it's a
also
whole new
Nikki
world.
Bella. I mean, do you think that her and Peter are going to be a thing? We'll find out next week.
No.
I know. I don't
No
think
way.
they're a match. Even though I like him and I like her, I just think, I think they're missing.
I love the way Brie's getting in on the action. The question here is this. Is Brie actually a good matchmaker for her sister Nikki? Is she the kind of person that can really get in her mind and know what she wants? Well, we put them to the test in this little matchmaker quiz. Watch.
Zac Efron or Leonardo DiCaprio?
Oh, you know.
Ooh, Zac Efron.
What?
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know.
Wait, why is Leo the obvious choice?
I mean, one, I had him on the cover of my binder in middle school.
Oh, I didn't know we were talking about middle school days.
Dude, but that's like a pass for however high my number is, who I've slept with. Like, that's a free pass because he was a crush. Anyways, I love Leo.
Oh, yeah.
And he has experience over Zach.
Woo! I don't know. 2019 Zach is looking like he might have experience these days. I don't know. All right, here we go. John Mayer or Shawn Mendes?
Oh, Shawn Mendes.
Yeah, that's where I'll go youthful.
Youthful.
All right.
John will talk too much.
All right, next. Nick Cannon or Drake?
Oh.
Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Drake.
What do we love about Drake?
I just think he's smooth.
He seems smoother.
Yeah, not as cheesy.
Yeah.
Oh.
He works with kids.
Bubbly, yeah. You're not into the bubbly.
You can create anything you want in here. Try again. Imagine something completely different.
Okay.
Okay, I should have been more clear. Imagine something different than a little ball. Let your mind run wild. Go as big as you can dream.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I imagined.
Okay, I don't think you're quite grasping the power of this.
Your ball creator.
It is so much more than balls.
Haley Joel Osment there. It's in Hulu's comedy Future Man. Season 2 is now streaming on Hulu. He stopped by People Now, told us all about that season and the show's futuristic twist. Watch this.
It's very, very silly, and we do a lot of outrageous things, but it is grounded in actual concerns about the future and the end of the world, basically. Like, that's what we deal with a lot in this one. Josh Hutcherson is a loser janitor by day and a world-class gamer by night who is contacted from by people from the future through the game who tell him he has to travel through time to try and stop me and Keith David from curing herpes and thereby starting a chain reaction that destroys the world. He succeeds in season 1 in killing Keith David in a terror attack on the lab, but I survive, carry on his research, and start World War III anyway. Yeah.
It's a pretty good pitch there.
Yeah, I got it.
And from going into the future to a blast from the past, you may remember Haley as the cute kid who could see dead people. Maybe as Forrest Gump's son. He reminisced about his time as a child actor, even revealed the cool artifact he kept from his time on Forrest Gump. Watch.
I think it was focus and dedication, because I was 4 when we did Forrest Gump, but I do have a really strong memory of Tom Hanks just in his director's chair, looking through the script between takes and everything. A very kind man, but someone who was completely focused on what they were doing. And I actually have a nice artifact from the time I spent doing that movie. He and Robert Zemeckis were in their trailer rewriting that final scene on the park bench, and they had a PA carry me through this flooded base camp because it had been raining all day, took me to the trailer, and Tom Hanks wrote out my new lines in red marker on this yellow legal pad, and I still have that.
Wow.
It was sort of my first artifact that I took home.
On a lazy Saturday, you're just flipping through the channels. What of those movies will you stop and watch?
It's been a while, and it's also been a while, I guess, since I've like flipped through the television, unless it's sports or like the Oscars.
I guess that's true. That doesn't really happen
cutting the cables, you know.
So you were never confronted with your old work unless you choose to be.
The last time I saw parts of The Sixth Sense, I went to Cuba with one of my professors from NYU who had been doing a theater exchange program down there, and I went and talked to their acting class. They wanted to go through and watch some scenes, and it had been like 10 years since I'd seen any of that, and I was like, my voice is so high.
Voice changing, it's an awkward thing. We all know about that, especially when you're a public figure, of course. Now, we talked about Haley and that character and that forming The Sixth Sense, how the whole thing came together and haunted us when we were younger. I still am not over it. We had to ask what haunted him when he was a kid. His answer, it might actually surprise you. Take a look.
In contrast to being on set around people with like their heads blown off and everything, the real awkward moment was, or frightening moment was at the middle school dance. There was this girl that I really liked, and she came over and wanted to dance with me, put her hand on my shoulders, and I was so nervous that I put my hand on her shoulders, and we just sort of like that. And I knew immediately when the dance, I was like, that's not how you do it. Like, haunted me for years. So.
And it was too late at that point.
Too late.
The hands are planted.
Never saw her again.
Wherever you are.
Yeah, bye.
Guys, today's guest was recently nominated for an iHeartRadio Music Award for Best New Country Artist, and he's here today to talk about his new song, Nothing to Do Town. Please welcome back to People Now, Dylan Scott. Thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely.
Great to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. So a lot has changed in the last year for you.
Yes.
So you have a 1-year-old son, Beckett. So how's dad life treating you?
Dad life is great. I mean, it's been a big change, obviously, but it's been a change for the better. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Does it change the way that you write music or approach your work?
Yeah, because I write my music about stuff I've experienced, so I had a lot of love songs prior to Beckett. So now that Beckett's here, the daddy songs are coming out. I wrote a song called 3 a.m., which is about the things you do at 3 a.m. are different than what you did before, kid.
Yeah, well, no, definitely different. And you don't look like a zombie. You're doing it,
Thank
man.
you, man.
You
Yeah.
can live without sleep and still look great.
Yeah, Team Dad.
You tweeted about something called Daddy Songs. What are we talking about?
Like the 3 a.m.
That's the 3 a.m.
Yeah,
songs?
3 a.m., man.
Okay.
That's the daddy song. So, you know, take love songs, then daddy songs, daddy love songs.
You write them in that way. Do you find yourself like singing directly to your son, right? There's some of that?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And he's picked up on it now. Like, he's very inclined to what's going on. Like, if I pick the guitar up, he knows to come to me. And he's like strumming the guitar and he's watching me. And I actually, when he was about 3 or 4 months old, I just wanted to see how he reacted to music. So I played like this sad little lullaby sounding thing, and he literally broke out in tears.
Man,
like,
Yeah.
wow, you're feeling it.
Music runs in your family. We actually have a really sweet clip that you had posted about your son kind of reacting to your new song. So let's take a quick look.
Alexa, play Nothing to Do Town.
Nothing to Do Town by Dylan Scott, starting now on Amazon Music.
So adorable.
Yeah, man.
That little guy, he knows it, right?
He does know it.
You can tell.
And he knows it's my music. Like,
Yeah.
he can tell the difference, which I think is really cool.
Would you encourage him to pursue music if he wants to when he's older?
Yeah, my parents let me do whatever I wanted to do. My dad was in the music, so that's what I fell in love with. But I'm the type of person, whatever he wants to do. If he wants to be a ball player, absolutely.
Yeah,
Wants to
he's
be a
adorable.
singer, absolutely.
Congrats on the song, by the way. It's really cool. Relatable song. I grew up in a small town. You grew up in a small
Yeah,
town.
very
There's
small.
a relatability about that. But what is it about that you tapped into? What was great about growing up in your town?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's great. If you was to drive through my town, you would ask yourself, what do people do here?
Right.
And that's where the song came from. Like, what do people do here? There's actually a lot to do. I mean, we grew up, obviously, I grew up hunting and fishing and riding four-wheelers and just hanging out with friends. And some people think that, well, that's no fun. No, that's a lot of fun.
No, that's how I grew up as well.
exactly.
It's a lot of fun being out there in the woods and everything.
And a lot of people relate to that. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, for the music video, you actually went home to Louisiana to make this. So tell us about that process. What is it like going back to your hometown? I'm sure people freak out.
Oh yeah, in a town where there's nothing going on and a music video comes to town, that's a really big deal.
It's really cool because I mean I didn't grow up like the popular kid, you know. I mean, I had a bunch of friends, but you go back now, like everybody knows your name. Like you didn't talk to me.
People
back in
kind of come back out of the woodwork.
But I mean, it was a lot of fun. We didn't tell anybody we were shooting the music video. So when we walked into the cafe scene, like I knew all those people and they had no idea. So that was real live stuff. Like, you know, wasn't nothing fake about it. So that's what's cool about this video.
No, what I love it. It's like you just did a wish list. Like, all right, what do I love to do when I go home? You included it all. You got the hunting thing. You're driving the ATVs in the mud and all that. Believe it or not, all this makeup might throw you off. I used to go mudding with my friends in pickup trucks back in the
Don't let the skinny jeans.
No, don't let the skinny jeans fool you. It's true. It's a lot of fun. But when you go back there, when you tap back into it, like now you're this big country star. You got the Nashville life. You got the fans and all of it. But what do you miss most about that? More maybe the simpler life.
You're right, the simpler life. It's just slow. You know, I get to relax when I go home, but I miss the food.
Yeah.
You know, the food you grow up on, you think's the best food in the world when other people's like, what is this?
And what dish in particular?
But it's this barbecue place.
Ah.
It's called Sladen's. My goodness, it's so good.
Should we go ahead and do this now and do the ultimate and maybe the toughest question: Louisiana barbecue versus Tennessee barbecue?
Easy. What's Louisiana?
Really?
Louisiana, Texas. Like it's all the same in that area.
You're putting your career on the line here, making these kinds of claims.
man.
You're isolating the audience dramatically.
I know. Barbecue's great, like all barbecue, but there's just something about that Louisiana, Texas barbecue. It's so much better.
Have you had
Lunchtime, I'm so hungry now.
Have you had New York City barbecue? Brooklyn barbecue?
And somebody told me about that the other day.
No,
that's really a thing?
It's growing. I'm telling you, you got to check it out before you leave the city. You're going to be surprised because you don't think there's going to be any. I'm telling you, it's going to be better than you think. You don't buy it at all.
I'm just trying to figure, like, how is it?
Go over to Brooklyn and get some barbecue.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trusting Jeremy on this one too. But going back to the video though, your wife and son make a cameo at the end. What's that? That's really cool. What was it like to kind of show back at your hometown? What was his experience doing that and being a part of the video?
Yeah, which was kind of crazy in the video. I had no idea they were even coming down the street. That was all like, where y'all going? They was going to this little Italian restaurant. I was like, hey, let's shoot them in the video. But Beckett's a natural, man. He's a natural on camera. I feel like, you know, it's going to be really fun to do more stuff with him as he gets older. And my wife's she's not too keen on being on camera, but you know, she does a good job.
Yeah, now you're performing here in New York tonight at Gramercy Theater. That must be really exciting.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference between performing back home or in the South and in New York?
There's really not a lot, and that's kind of surprising because I used to think the same thing, like this is going to be different, but country music fans, they're all the same. They're ready to have a good time. They're excited, and especially here in New York City, I feel like you get a lot of stuff going on here, but maybe not a lot of country music, so they come out and they have a good time.
I know, I always find it weird, but there are a lot of country music fans in New York. Because I always felt
Absolutely.
weird sometimes listening to country, but like walking on the sidewalk.
The subway.
There's no farms in sight.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you like country music, you like it anywhere you live.
I think that you're right about that. I've been to a couple country concerts and people come out, they pack it out, and there's just, and most people from New York are actually from somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're in New York or from somewhere else, so I think there's a connection there. Congrats on the iHeart Radio Music Award nomination, Best New Country Artist.
Yes.
What's the reaction? You get the call, you got it.
I got a little emotional, and I'm not an emotional person, but I got a little emotional because it's like, man, somebody actually wanted me to be nominated. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's a cool feeling. Because, I mean, I've been in Nashville for a long time, been working at this a long time, and so to finally get a little of that, a little appreciation, like, that's really cool to me.
Yeah, and then speaking on touring, I feel like on tours, there's always some unplanned event that happens. We all know Beyonce's hair once got caught in a fan. Whenever we have country stars on, we always want to know, like, what's like the biggest uh-oh moment? Do you have something like that from tour?
Probably my biggest uh-oh moment is just, I mean, I fell off stage one time.
Oh.
During like the first 2 lines of the opening song, like you're trying to get everybody hype up for the night, and I go to step, and when I stepped, I literally just stepped off the stage and into this lady.
Oh my God.
Which I felt really bad, so I had to stop the show and make sure she was okay, and she was perfectly
Who was more
fine.
hurt, you or her?
Well, she was probably more hurt than I was because I caught myself on her. Just not on purpose, just reaction. Like, oh no, I'm falling. Like face, like I was like, oh my gosh. But she was fine. She partied the rest of the night. We had a good time.
I'm glad she's okay, and also it's a good story now, seeing that she is fine. You know,
let's get some more reflective tape on the corners of the stage.
And that's what they did. So once I failed, a whole stage crew came out and started taping stuff off.
It's like, this isn't gonna happen again.
Yeah.
Hey man, congratulations. You've been here before. It's great to watch your country star continue to rise, and so many great things happening for you and your family. Guys, you can check out Dylan Scott's new single, Nothing to Do Town. It is available right now.
All right, we're taking one last look at our People poll. It's the Betty White's 97th birthday. We want to know which one of our shows has you dying from laughter on the regular. Let's check in on the results so far. Golden Girls.
Dylan, you a fan?
I've seen a few episodes.
Okay. But everybody's got to appreciate a little Betty White, right?
I love Betty White.
97. She's such a legend.
Holy cow, I thought she was 94.
She's so sharp and amazing.
Like a day over 94. Yeah, she's doing really great. All right, guys, we're going to check in on the comments as well. So much love for Betty White.
Yes.
Twitter user Jewel says she enjoyed all the shows in the poll and shared her birthday wishes as well.
Duane saying an honorary mention to her many game show appearances, earning her the title the Queen of Game Shows.
Yeah, Jane coming in with a really amazing fact. Here's what she wrote. Amazing to think she was the oldest cast member of the Golden Girls and has outlived them all. Wow.
I know.
Super fan there.
No, she's awesome. I mean, you were talking about her game show before. I mean, I think she's legendary.
She had a prank show that was all senior citizens, all older people pranking younger people, and it was so funny. I gotta Google it and figure out what it was, but it was.
I mean, have you ever seen Betty White in a bad mood? What do you think she's like when the cameras aren't rolling?
I think she is lovely. I have not seen her in a bad mood, and I think that we would have already found out about it. And in fact, even if she does, she deserves to be. She can do whatever she wants. She wants to be in a bad mood.
You're right.
She's earned it.
All right, we'll be back with another question of the day tomorrow, so tune in for that.
Guys, we had a lot of stories earlier in the show. One of them that really caught a lot of attention that continues to get pickup is the former Jackass star Steve O, revealing in the midst of his years-long struggle with drugs, he once snorted cocaine. This is wild. It was mixed with the blood of an HIV-positive drug user. This is a shocking story.
This story is crazy. I mean, he said his addiction was desperate and pathetic at that time. He knew it was going to be dangerous, but he did it anyway.
Yeah, he didn't contract HIV. He claims that did not happen to him, and he's been sober since 2008, celebrated 10 years of sobriety in March of 2018, and he gave Johnny Knoxville, obviously one of his former cast members, a lot of credit in helping him get the help that he needed back in 2008, which has now led him to this 10-year anniversary.
Well, the cocaine blood incident was that time where obviously he was in some of the darkest depths of it. And I think what's crazy, he actually sent an email to his friends and family kind of saying that, you know, he was going to jump 25 feet into concrete and that was going to be the end of him. That's when Johnny Knoxville really took charge, took him to rehab. So he's really is credited for helping him get out of that really dark time.
That cast of Jackass, that show, which I mean, for me, I grew up on that show. I was a teenager when it was in its peak, and those cast members have been through so much. Bam, another cast member, recently announced at the beginning of the year that he was going back to rehab, I believe the third time for alcohol and things like that. And so he also gave Johnny Knoxville a lot of credit. Steve-O even commented on Bam's post supporting him and just saying, you know, these guys are all there for each other, and they really seem to, especially when they know that things are getting really bad, they jump in. So
yeah, well, congrats on being 10 years sober. That's amazing.
Yeah. All right, coming up tomorrow, the iconic Molly Ringwald is here talking all about her new movie, All These Small Moments, teen stardom, so much more. She's dishing it all.
Plus, Jason Norman is giving us the scoop on starring in and producing his new live-action film, Bixler High Private Eye. Can't wait for that. Thanks for watching. And for now, we leave you with one last thing from Cheryl Lee Ralph. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Lee Ralph, and this is my one last thing. The last song I had stuck in my head, Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Yeah, Kiki, 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 I love it. The last time I cried, I had the most incredible mother who loved me like nothing else in this world. She passed away, I started crying, and I thought I was never gonna stop. The last dessert I ate, I don't eat dessert. Honey, how you think I keep it together like this? I don't do that.
You know, this is good. Want some?
No, thanks.
The last time I was starstruck, I don't remember.